Striker Scorpion 82 is now sponsored by Warhammer Combat Cards, a card battle game featuring your favourite Citadel miniatures from the 40k universe. Free to download and play, link is in the video description below or on the channel homepage, and by using the unique link it helps support the channel. Thanks and enjoy the game. Right, welcome to this Codex review for Chaos Knights. So a brand new Codex for them, just to go alongside the new Codex for the Imperial Knights as well. So the usual format here for the reviews, it's going to be a full review, we'll go through all the rules, we'll flick through all of the pages, go through the fluff at the front briefly as well. And I don't collect Chaos Knights, but if I was to collect them, we'll sort of come at it from that angle, looking at stratagems, tactics, warlord traits and so on. To see how good they are. The rumours are they are decent enough, the Chaos Knights, and some fantastic new models as well from Games Workshop. So a great time to embark on an army of these, so with the new models and Codex coming along. So big thanks to Games Workshop for sending me a copy of this through the post. For discount 40k, check out Goblin Gaming. There's the link for them in the video description below. They do Games Workshop and a whole lot of other gaming systems, all at a discounted rate. So, Chaos Knights, fantastic artwork here. It looks like it's hacking through the top of an Ultramarines Redemptor Dreadnought. So, yes, very much liking the artwork here. Much to James's dismay. Dear me. Okay, we'll move on. Flick through the early pages here. So the brand new Sculpts, which do look very, very good indeed. They've needed it. Chaos Knight players have been doing their own conversions, trying to change the paint schemes around, but there has been a need for that. Just dedicated sculpts for them, and they've done it. So impressive enough. A dark nobility. But one day we may well see it. We'll see what happens if we get a challenger to come on the channel and do a Chaos Knights versus Imperial Knights battle. Might be quite a quick game. Iconoclasts houses, Infernal houses, the Dark Mechanicus. Eek, look at that. Crazy. So plenty of artwork here for these. That's a nice colour scheme. That one there. Yeah, nice with the blood on the tips of the fingers there. All equipped for close combat, that one. Dread blades. Some handy colour schemes. This is particularly nice. So the great thing about Chaos is you can really go for effect with your painting. So lots of rust, gore, dried blood, all that kind of stuff. Can look very, very cool, especially on a larger model. Which is good as well, because on a larger model, large panels of plain colour there's not much to it, doesn't look good, but when you're able to add in lots of effects and weathering and so on, which you certainly could do for Chaos Knights. So the old weathered look does look very cool. All these chains and things you could add, lots of accessories you could add. Like you get a hold of them perhaps off eBay or model railway shops, just to hang in small brass chains and just put those all over the model. Some named characters there. House Vicaris. Another nice colour scheme. Dare I say it? Another one. Yeah, dare I say it, but some of these colour schemes I'm finding more appealing than some of the Imperial. But it's true. Just like the toned down, more gritty colour schemes on these larger models. These look particularly good. House Corvax. House Vextrix. There's the green. Look at that. You know what? I think you could paint these up pretty effectively, pretty quick, because you're looking for effect, and effect is often a lot quicker than like factory fresh, highly polished, fine detail takes ages. But if you're going for effect, with base colours, washes, and then quick highlighting, dusting, and so on, you can get through the model quite quickly. So may even be a quicker colour scheme as well, and look just as good. House Commentis. Look at these, that's nice. Chronicles of Terror. Another nice colour scheme here. Yeah. So tons of suggestions for you and background in the book. See here, there's this is their display. Way too clean cut. Need a lot more weathering on that. Very factory fresh looking. I'm sure it's going to appeal to some people, but I would tone them right down and weather them. Loads of dust around the feet, so on, rust, battle damage, so on. To really add effect to them. But it's still looking very good. This is a nice colour scheme here as well. Oh, look at that, taking on the Eldar. Yeah. Wraith Knights fighting against Chaos Knights. Very nice. Fighting here against the Admech. Loads of inspiration in this book. Very cool war dog here. Look at the sculpt on the head, the close combat weapons. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm nicely impressed with what we're seeing here. Another really good colour scheme and pose on that one. And this one here. This is what we're talking about, this kind of stuff. The rust corrosion here on the brassy bronze colour. And the old birds here, the vultures on top. That's the kind of effect. Strange old thing, you've got corrosion here on this brassy bronze, and then you have nothing here. It's all polished and clean. Way too clean. So I would dust that up around the feet and do more effect, like you see across here. In fact, this photograph, if you look in very carefully, bits of the static grass are on the shoulder from here. just comes out in the photograph. This one's looking good, it's looking very nice. There's another nice colour scheme here, look at that, beautiful. And again, just sort of dust up the feet there. Steel Legion drab, dry brush. Just do your painting as you see it here, and then Steel Legion drab, dry brush, just to make it look like it's been walking through the dusty streets, and so on. So again, very impressive. This one does look nice. Sort of almost semi-Death Guard sort of feel to it. And we are fighting against the Admech and Knights. Yeah, inspirational stuff. There's some great colour schemes to go for. Nice models to choose from. You can make them look entirely different from regular Imperial Knights now. These war dogs looking very, very good. Okay, we'll get into the rules next. So, Chaos Knights attachments, again, the Traitorous Lances and the Fallen Hero abilities. Chaos Knights in Chaos Knights detachments gain Towering Foe, Traitorous Ambitions and Household Bond abilities. War Dog class units, that's the smaller ones, in Chaos Knights attachments gain objectives secured. So, your units are able to hold on to objectives a bit more effectively. So, Traitorous Lances then. If this detachment is a super heavy detachment, or if you are playing a combat patrol battle, this detachment is a super heavy auxiliary detachment, gain one War Dog class, Abhorrent class or Tyrant class model in this detachment. The model gains the character keyword, right, so it's granting access to characters. Then when you do that, you can take your relics and moral traits and so on. If this detachment contains between 1 and 2 Abhorrent class models, if it contains 3 to 5 War Dog models, this detachment's command benefits are changed to +3 points if your warlord is part of this detachment. And if this detachment contains 3 or more Abhorrent class models and 6 or more War Dog and 1 or more Titanic, this detachment's command benefits are changed to +6 command points if your warlord is part of this detachment. Just helping out your army structure. It's very useful. Just helps you keep your command points nice and effectively. Fallen Hero. If this detachment is a super heavy auxiliary detachment that contains 1 or more Dreadblade units until the end of the battle, that unit gains Agent of Chaos keyword. Only 1 Dreadblade unit from your army can have this keyword. Okay. Inclusion of Dreadblade agents doesn't prevent you from using the rules for every model from your army to have the same keyword, so it doesn't affect that. Then Towering Foes, you count as 5 models for the control of objective markers, same as Imperial Knights. Traitorous Ambitions. All Chaos Knights units of this ability, excluding Dreadblade units, no models in them, gain a Traitorous Ambition as long as every unit in their detachment owes their allegiance to the same. So it's the same. Just make sure you keep your structure tight on that. So it's the same Traitorous Household. Every model in the detachment has the Iconoclast household keyword for every model in the detachment as the Infernal Household keyword, and so on. The Traitorous ambition gain depends upon which allegiance they have, as shown below, and you must write down all of your detachments' ambitions in your army roster. So it's either of these. So it's Iconoclast Household or Infernal Household, similar to the two-way split for Imperial Knights. It's just mirroring that. So for Iconoclast Household, Conquerors Without Mercy, each time model with this ambition fights, if made a charge move, was charged, performed heroic intervention, you get an extra attack, which is great, and improve the AP characteristic of melee weapons by 1. So fine, that's straightforward enough and helpful. For Infernal Household, Demonic Surge, each model in the command phase with this Traitorous ambition can use 1 Demonic Surge. If a model uses Demonic Surge, you must do one of the following. So inflict a mortal wound on this model, or roll 1d3 on the table below to determine the rule that applies to this model to the start of the next command phase, which would be, so roll a dice, you take a mortal wound and you either get +3 to this model's move, okay, and then whether it's worth losing the wound, and then Demonic Fortitude. Each time an attack is made against this model, a modified wound roll of 1 to 3 always fails. And then 3, Demonic Power. Select one weapon this model is equipped with. Each time attack is made with that weapon, add 1 to attack's wound rolls, +1 to wound roll. So yeah, it's okay, it's not bad. And then the other option is to inflict D3 mortal wounds on this model and select one result from the table below. So you get to choose for D3. Yes, okay. Interesting. And then you've got Household Bond. So all Chaos Knights units with this ability and the models in them gain a Household Bond so long as their detachment contains at least 3 models, excluding Dreadblade models, when you muster your army, and every unit in that detachment, excluding Dreadblade, is from the same Dread household. So if your Dread household does not have any associated household bonds, you must instead select a Fel bond for them as described. So that's your customizable, I presume. If the detachment includes any Dreadblade units, you must instead select a Fel bond for each of them as described on pages 64 to 65. Each Dreadblade unit must have a unique Fel bond, and you cannot select a Fel bond from a Dreadblade unit if every other unit from your army has the same Fel bond. Note that Dreadblade units always receive a Fel bond, regardless of how many models are in the detachment. So then it then goes on to say dreaded abilities. Some abilities in this book are, and it gives you the symbol dreaded abilities, which affect enemy models or units within dread range. At the start of the battle, that range is 12 inches, but can be increased through certain rules. The effects of multiple identically named dread abilities are not cumulative. So if an enemy unit is within range of 2 models, then it's not going to stack. And then note that while similar in many regards to aura abilities, abilities are not affected by abilities that affect aura abilities, and vice versa. Okay, so dreaded. Okay, so we've covered all that. That's fine. So the dreaded households then, which to go for? I reckon if I was doing Chaos Knights, obviously go aggressive. You know, try and make them as intimidating as possible. They're going to lurch towards you. The horror of these towering things coming towards you, I wouldn't make them a gunline army or an army that's going to sort of hang around the middle, be one that goes after the foe. So that's how I play them. So looking for help with things like close combat, speed, and aggressive behaviour with the Chaos Knights. So any kind of rules that would help in that regard is probably what I'd go for. I guess the other fear factor is not just them heading towards you. The other fear factor is durability. You want these things to survive on the table for as long as possible. It adds to the fear. You just can't get rid of them, can't destroy them. So durability is another area I'd consider as well. So it's those kind of things that you want to emphasise as much as possible. So it says here, if your army is battle forged, Dread household units, excluding Dreadblade, units in Chaos Knights detachments gain access to the following Dread household rules, provided that detachment contains at least 3 models, excluding Dreadblades. So there is that. You've got to make sure you've got the right number of models for it. Traitorous ambition. If a Dread household detachment owes allegiance to an Iconoclast or Infernal household, it can gain a Traitorous ambition as described on page 55. And then bonds, all Dread Household units, excluding Dreadblade units and Dread Household detachment, will gain a Household bond, as described on page 56. Yep, and okay, and Warlord traits, stratagems, and relics. Okay, so here we go. First is House Herpetrax. So, Traitorous Ambition, Conquerors Without Mercy. Models gain the Conquerors Without Mercy, Traitorous Ambition. If every model in their detachment has the Iconoclast household keyword. Okay. So that's just to remind ourselves the way it works. So that's your +1 to the attack and improving your AP by 1. So that suits what I'd like to do. Extra attack, extra AP minus, great. So Household Bond, Dauntless, add 2 to the wounds of War Dog class units and 4 wounds for Titanic. So immediately just add into durability. So this is all very, very good. And then Warp Presence is the stratagem, 1 CP. Use this stratagem into the fight phase, select one House Herpetrax model from your army, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches. On 2 to 5 it's a mortal wound, and on 6 it's d3 mortal wounds. So, it's alright for a CP. It'd be alright if it was just a normal ability, but you've got to pay a CP for that just to cause a mortal wound most likely. So yeah, it's okay. And then Warlord trait. About one time you'd maybe use that is if you got an annoying model within an inch that's got a wound left, which occasionally happens. Then it would be worth it. So Warlord trait is bow to none. This Warlord trait can ignore any or modifiers to their characteristic profile. Any exceptions or characteristics changed incurred as a result of damage suffered, as shown on this Warlord's data sheet. Each time this Warlord makes an attack, you can ignore any or modifiers to the hit rolls, wound rolls, or damage rolls. Pretty useful, it's not bad. And then each time this Warlord advances or declares a charge, you can ignore modifiers again. So yeah, it could be useful enough. The Relic, the Crown of Jedha. It's an Abhorrent class model or Herpetrax War Dog class model. Each time a melee attack is made against the bearer, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Okay, quite straightforward. So yeah, pretty good there. Your core rules are fine on that one. It's House Lucaris or Lucaris next. So they become, get the Conquerors Without Mercy again as before. The bond is virtue through strength. Each time model with this bond is selected to fight, you can reroll 1 hit roll or a wound roll when resolving that attack. Nice simple rule and useful enough. Get it every time you fight. Fine. And then trample them is the stratagem. Use a stratagem movement phase and you select a House Lucaris Titanic model from your army to make a normal move or advance. After this model was moved, select one enemy unit it moved across and roll d6. Add 1 to the result if the enemy unit contains between 6 to 10 models. Add 2 to the result if it's 11 or more models, and a 3 to 6 enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds, and a 7+ unit suffers d6 mortal wounds. So again, it's the ability to kick out mortal wounds. A Warlord trait, strike first, strike often. Start of the fight phase, this Warlord is within engagement range of enemy units, it can fight first, so yeah, very, very useful. And the Relic, the Serpent Strike Core. Select one Demon Breath Melter Gun, Twin Demon Breath Melter Gun, Demon Breath Spear, or Demon Breath Thermal Cannon. The weapon is now a relic for all rules purposes. Delete that weapon's abilities. Add 1 to the weapon's strength. And add 2 to the weapon's damage. Ooh. Yeah, well that. Yeah, that's nice. That's very nice. Nice weapon, that one. +2 damage. Yeah, very good. Right, next is Dread Households. So House Chimera, something like that. It's Conquerors Without Mercy again. Rampant Cruelty. Each time model this bond makes an attack. If that attack is made against a unit that was below half strength, this model was selected to shoot or fight, add 1 to the wound roll. Okay. So a lot of these, it seems to be you are getting help for going aggressive here. Fury of Suitor's Wake, 1 or 2 CP, uses stratagem in the charge phase, and House Chimera model from your army finishes a charge move. Select one enemy unit within engagement range of your model and roll 4d6. If the model is Titanic, roll 6d6. For each dice result that equals or exceeds the enemy's unit's toughness characteristic, it suffers a mortal wound. For each unmodified roll of a 6, enemy unit suffers 2 mortal wounds instead. If this model is a War Dog class model, the stratagem costs a CP, otherwise it's 2. Warlord trait is Maddened Cries. It's an aura ability of 9 inches. For an enemy unit within that range, at the start of each morale phase, it must take a dread test. If the test is failed, it takes a mortal wound. And Warp Fire Shield. The bearer is a 5+ invulnerable save, and each time a melee attack is made against the bearer on a modified saving throw of a 6, the attacking model's unit suffers a mortal wound. After all units' attacks have been resolved, maximum of 6 mortal wounds per unit attacking. So next is House Vextrix. So you're getting Demonic Surge, Traitorous Ambition for them. Titankin is the household bond. Each time model this bond is selected shoots, you can reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll when resolving that model's attacks. So this one's reroll 1 hit roll and 1 wound roll. So it's not either or. So that is pretty good. If you want to go down the shooting or if you want to improve that, then that's pretty effective actually. Just like all units across the board, pretty good. Interception Array for 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase and House Vectrix model from your army selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time the model makes a ranged attack, you can ignore any roll, hit roll, and ballistic skill modifiers. Yeah, it's alright, but usually it's kept at -1 anyway. But that might prove crucial enough. Warlord trait, Favour of the Dark Mechanicum. If this warlord is a War Dog class model, add 1 to its wounds. If this is a warlord trait here, if this warlord is Titanic, it's an extra 2 wounds. Start of each command phase, this warlord regains D3 lost wounds. Nice. This is nice. That's nice. That's a good one. And then Heretic Power Core. Add 2 inches to the move. Each time the bearer makes a melee attack, unless that attack is made using the sweep profile of a melee weapon, add 1 to the damage characteristic of that attack. Another good one. Yeah, I like this one. House of Vextrix. Yeah. Pretty good buffs and bonuses going on with that one. Okay. So we're looking at House Commentis next. So Demonic Surge for the Ambition. The bond is Profane Symbiosis. Each time a model with this bond uses Demonic Surge, if you chose to inflict a mortal wound, you can re-roll the D3. When determining what Demonic Surge result applies to this model at the start of your command phase, and if you choose to inflict D3 mortal wounds, select 2 results in the Demonic Surge table to apply. Okay. And then Encircling Hounds, 1 CP. Use the stratagem in movement phase, select 1 House War Dog class unit from your army. In strategic reserves, the unit can arrive from strategic reserves during the reinforcement step of this phase, as if the battle realm was 1 higher than it currently is, regardless of any mission rules. So in other words, I think you could come on turn 1 with them. That's pretty good actually. Warlord trait is Dread Hunter. Once per battle at the start of the shooting phase, this warlord can make a killing strike. If it does so, select 1 ranged weapon the warlord is equipped with. At the end of that phase, each time attack is made with this weapon, you can reroll the hit roll, you can reroll the wound roll, and you can add 1 to the damage. What? Once per battle. Okay, fair enough. That's incredibly good. Reroll hits, reroll wounds, +1 damage. Given the right combination and the right weapon, that's fantastic. Yes, it's once per battle, but it's fine. Yeah, nice. Really good that one. And then Demonic Strike. House Commentis Patera Shade model only. At the start of each of your shooting phases, select an unit within 18 of the bearer. At the start of the end until the end of the turn, each time a ranged attack is made by the bearer against an enemy unit, improve the AP by 1. Next, House Corvax. Next, Demonic Surge Ambition, Forged in Terror. Once per battle at the start of the any battle round, you can select 1 Harbinger ability from those corresponding to the current battle round or any previous battle round. That ability becomes active for every model with that bond in your army, even if every unit from your army does not have the Chaos Knights keyword. And Knights of Shade for 2 CP for this one. Use a stratagem at the start of the move phase or at the start of the charge phase, select up to 2 House Corvax War Dog class models or 1 Titanic model from your army. At the end of that phase, the selected models can move horizontally through models and terrain features as if they were not there. Weird. Yeah. Strange. Yeah, look. Like dark phantoms, the Knights of House Corvax can move through solid walls without hindrance. Tactically, very, very useful. You could really catch the opponent out of a deadly ambush with that. Very interesting, that one. So I had been saying in the Imperial Knights Codex review that the rules were getting a little bit samey. A bit, for all the codex, it's just sort of a lot of repetition, but there's some unique ones here. Ones that are quite fun and unique here for Chaos Knights. So it's nice flavour here at the moment. Warlord trait is Lord of Dread. Add 3 inches to the range of the Warlord's aura abilities, add 3 inches to the dreaded abilities as well. And the Relic, the Rune of Darkness, House Corvax model only. Once per battle round, when a saving throw is made for the bear, when a saving throw for the bear is failed, you can use this relic. When you do, the damage characteristic of that attack is changed to 0. This is once per battle round as well. Each time this relic is used, roll 2d6. So if the result is equal to or greater than the bearer's leadership characteristic, this relic cannot be used again during the battle. Right, so there's no real, you take damage or whatever, you just can't, you have to stop using it. Equal to or greater, okay. So you need a pretty good roll to do it. It's probably leadership. Leadership 9, probably, for Chaos Knights. Leadership 8 on the War Dogs. And yeah, leadership 9 on the regular Knights. Okay. Cool. Okay, so then you've got the customizable, you know, you're picking, sort of customizing your own here for the Dread Households. So Iconoclasts, Household, Fellbonds, and then Infernal Household across here. So Bold Tyrants, each time, let's just see what it says here. If you've chosen Dread Household does not have an associated household bond on page, as we've seen previously, you must instead select Fell Bond for it from the list here. In addition, Fellblade units from your army must also have a Fell Bond from the lists here. Remember, for each Dreadblade unit must have a unique Fellblade bond, and you cannot select a Fell Bond for a Dreadblade unit if any other model in your army has the same Fell Bond. Unless otherwise stated, Iconoclast units have one Fell Bond from the bond list, and Infernal have one from the list. Okay, so Iconoclast then. Bold Tyrants. Each time model of this Fellbond makes a ranged attack. If the target of that attack is within 18 inches of this model, improve the AP by 1. Frenzied Invaders. Each time model of this Fellbond makes a melee attack and a modified hit roll of a 6 score, pops an extra hit. It's alright, yeah, could do. You're on quite a low number of attacks though, for the higher hitting stuff, the higher damage and so on, but it could, 6 is popping extra, yeah. Infamous Heredity. Each one of the following Dread Households: Lucaris, Herpetrax, and Chimera. Get these. So it's use the household bond of the Dread Household you selected as listed on page 58 to 63. If a character or this spellbond gains a warlord trait, you can have the. Oh right, it's just granting you access to them. Yep. So then, Learned Idolaters here. Each time attack with an arm penetration characteristic of -1 is allocated to model with this bond. Then it's AP0 instead. Loping Predators. In your shooting phase, each time model this fell bond is selected to shoot. If it has advanced this turn, then until the end of the shooting phase, it counts as having remained stationary. And Precision Cruelty. Improve the AP characteristic of the attack by 1. It says here, each time model this Fellblond makes a ranged attack of unmodified wound roll of a 6, then you get to improve the AP by 1 and you get +1 damage on it as well. I think back here is better than these, but powerful or off. Models this Fellbond whose characteristic can damage as they suffer damage. Models this Fellbond whose characteristics can change as they suffer damage are considered to have double the number of wounds remaining. And Worthy Offerings. Each time model this Fellbond makes an attack against a monster vehicle character, add 1 to that roll's hit roll. Nice, you're probably hitting on 2s. And model this Fellbond as the favour of the Dark Gods, and it destroys a monster vehicle character during the turn or during a phase. At the end of that phase, its offering is accepted regardless of how many works it has on its offering tally. So the rules for that will come later on. Okay, and then Infernal Household here. So Bound Vassals. Select one of the following Dread Households: Vectrix, Commentis, or Corvax. Oh, it's just unlocking the abilities from there, that's fine. Then Dark Forging. Add 4 inches to the range characteristic of ranged weapons. Add 1 to the damage and strength characteristic of any Diabolus heavy stubbers the model this spellbond is equipped with. It's damage 2 then on the stubbers. Yeah. And each time model this spellbond selects a target for a Diabolus heavy stubber that is equipped with, you can ignore the lookout circle. Merciless Tormentors. Each time model this spellbond makes a ranged attack, if the target of that attack is an 18 inch of this model, reroll hit rolls a 1. And then Geasts of Ruin. Each time a ranged attack is made against the model of this spellbond, if the attacker is more than 18 inches away, then the model with this spellbond is treated as having the benefits of light cover. Yeah, that's not bad, giving you the extra save. Great for Imperial Knights. Hellforged Construction. Each time attack with a strength characteristic of 7 or less is allocated to the model of this spellbond. Subtract 1 for the damage characteristic. So that is like Ramshackle, I guess. For the Orcs, Biomechanical Fusion. If a Dreadblade model has this spellbond, the model gains a Demonic Surge Traitorous Ambition, even though its Dreadblade units can normally have a Traitorous Ambition. Each time model this spellbond, excluding Dreadblade models, suffers a mortal wound whilst using its Demonic Surge Traitorous Ambition. Roll 1d6 and a 4 plus the wound is not lost. And Unhallowed Inscriptions. Each time model this spellbond would lose wound as a result of mortal wound, unless the mortal wound was inflicted as a result of using Demonic Surge Traitorous Ambition. Roll 1d6 and a 5 plus, the wound is not lost. And everyone to deny the witch tastes. Deny the witch tests made for this psyker. And then Warp Vision. Each time an attack is made by a model of this spellbond, the target doesn't receive the benefits of light cover, it's just ignoring cover. But these are mostly quite tame. I think back here, the ones that are themed to households are better, but still some pretty good ones in that list. Not too bad. We'll go on to stratagems. 4 pages. Yeah. There's plenty of stratagems for the Chaos Knights. Yeah. Alright, so break their lines. The first stratagem here, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in the fight phase, and Iconoclast household model from your army selected to fight. To the end of that phase, each time model makes an attack. If that model made a charge move, add 1 to attack hit rolls. Plus 1 to hit rolls. Fine. Anything that helps out that smaller number of high hitting or high impact attacks. So plus 1 to hit roll, fantastic. 1 CP. Off to a very, very good start. Something as simple as that. Hungry for combat, 2 CP. Use a stratagem in the fight phase. Select 1 enemy unit in your opponent's army. To end of that phase, each time a War Dog class model from your army makes a melee attack against that enemy unit, a modified hit roll of a 6 automatically wounds the target. Yeah, you could stack multiple models to get that. It's 2 CP though. Pack Hunters, 1 CP. Use a stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select 1 enemy unit with an engagement range of 2 or more War Dog class models from your army. To the end of that phase, add 1 to attack characteristic of War Dog class models with an engagement range of that unit. So 1 CP for that. Skies of Fire, 1 CP. Use your stratagem in your shooting phase and a War Dog class model from your army selected to shoot. To the end of that phase, each time the model makes an attack against an aircraft unit, it's plus 1 to the hit roll. Okay, and then Murder Bliss, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Chaos Knight Slanesh model from your army selected to fight. If that model is within engagement range of any 1 or more enemy units that contain 6 or more models, to end that phase, add 1 to hit model's attacks characteristic. If one or more of those enemy units contains 11 or more models, then you add 2 to the attacks characteristic. Then Tormented Wrath, 2 CP. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase. Select 1 enemy unit from your opponent's army. To the end of that phase, each time a War Dog class model from your army makes a ranged attack against that enemy unit, unmodified hit roll of a 6 scores an additional hit. Okay, it's alright if you've got multiple units stacking up, then yeah, it could be worth it, but that's that one. Crush Like Vermin. Use a stratagem in the fight phase, 1 CP, when a Titanic Chaos Knights model from your army is selected to fight. To the end of the phase, each time that model makes a melee attack with its Titanic feat, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. If the attack successfully hits the target, unless the target of that attack is a monster or a vehicle unit, the target suffers 2 mortal wounds, the attack sequence ends. Okay, and then Vengeful Outcasts, 2 CP. Use a stratagem in the fight phase and a Chaos Knights model from your army selected to fight. At the end of that phase, each time the model makes an attack against an Imperial Knights model, add 1 to the wound roll. Ha! Nice. Yeah, useful enough. Turning 3s to wound into 2s to wound. You really might need stratagems like that just to make everything count as much as possible. Trail of Destruction, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Chaos Knights model from your army is selected to shoot, or in the fight phase when a Chaos Knights model from your army is selected to fight. To the end of that phase, each time that model makes an attack, if the target of that attack is within range of an objective, mark reroll hit rolls 1. Unyielding Rage. Use your stratagem, it's 1 or 2 CP in the fight phase, and a Chaos Knights model from your army is selected as the target of an attack. At the end of that phase, each time an attack is allocated, this model subtract 1 for the damage characteristic of that attack to a minimum of 1. This is not punitive of any other rules that reduce the damage characteristics of attacks. If it's a War Dog class model, it's 1 CP, otherwise it's 2 CP. -1 damage, useful enough. This is quite straightforward rules here for these, but they're useful stratagems. Titanic Duel next, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Chaos Knights model from your army is selected to fight. Select one enemy Titanic unit with engagement range of that model. You and your opponent secretly choose a number from 1 to 3 on a d6. We suggest turning a d6 to show the number, but considering it behind your hand. Then reveal your choice simultaneously. If they differ, then until the end of that phase, add the number you chose to the attacks characteristic of your Chaos Knights model. But melee attacks made by that model can only target Titanic units. An interesting one. Quirky, that one, but an interesting way of doing it. And it's a duel, like the 2 players are going head to head as well with secret dice or number choices. Beseech the Dark Gods, 1 2 CP. Use the stratagem when a Chaos Knights Pantheon undivided model from your army is destroyed but does not explode. Roll 1d6 at the end of the phase, and a 4+. Set that model back up on the battlefield with 3 wounds remaining, as close as possible to where they were destroyed and not within engagement range. If that model is a War Dog class model, it costs 1 CP, otherwise it's 2. You can only use the stratagem once per battle as well, but fine, great. Anything to get them back up again, very cool. And then Abominable Construction. 1 CP or 2 CP. Use your stratagem in your command phase. Select one Chaos Knights Nurgle model from your army. To the start of your next command phase, that model is considered to have its 4 wounds remaining. 1 CP for War Dog, 2 CP for others. Doom and Despair. 2 CP. Use your stratagem at the start of the 3rd, 4th or 5th battle round. If your warlord is on the battlefield, select one Harbinger ability from your previous battle round. Whilst your warlord is on the battlefield, that ability is active for every Chaos Knights model in your army. You only select this stratagem if every unit of your army has the Chaos Knights keyword, and so on and so on. You only get to use that once per battle. Death Grip. Sounds familiar. Imperial Knights have or used to have a stratagem like this. 1 CP. Use your stratagem in the fight phase when an attack is made with a Warp Strike Claw or Slaughter Claw. We'll look at these weapons later on. Or a relic that replaces such a weapon by a Chaos Knights model of your army is allocated to an enemy model. Before any saving throws are taken against that attack, both players roll off. If the strength characteristic of this Chaos Knights model is greater than that of the model the attack has been allocated to, add 1 to your result. If you win the roll-off, invulnerable saves cannot be taken against that attack, otherwise the damage characteristic of that attack is 0. So you're trying to get hold of them and break through invuln saves. Cool, so we've discovered a way of stripping invuns here. Just here and there, on the odd occasion, you can do it. It's not just unique to the tower. Spiteful Demise, 1 or 3 CP. Use your stratagem when a Chaos Knights model of your army is destroyed. Do not roll to see if the model explodes. If you do so, it does so automatically. If that model is Tyrant class, roll 1d6, and a 4+, the range of that explosion is 3d6. If that model is a War Dog class model, it costs 1 CP. Abhorrent class is 2 CP, otherwise it's 3 CP, and can only use this stratagem once. Cool. Next is Chosen by the Gods. So use a stratagem before the battle when you muster in your army. Select one Chaos Knights model from your army that does not have a favour of the Dark Gods. That model gains one of the following keywords: Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh, Pantheon Undivided. A Khorne Knight Abominant model loses the Psychic keyword and cannot manifest psychic powers. Its weapon skill characteristic is improved by 1. And its attacks characteristic is increased by 1. Nice. You can only use the stratagem once unless you're playing a Strike Force battle, in which case you can use it twice. Onslaught 3 times. You cannot use a stratagem on the same model more than once, and you cannot use it to add a keyword to a model in a Crusade Force. 1 CP, and then Corrupted Heirlooms. So you're gaining a relic. Warlord traits for Tyrannical Court, Arch Tyrant. You can generate an additional Warlord trait. Use the stratagem after nominating Chaos Knight's character model to be your Warlord. You can generate an additional Warlord trait for them. Cool. Bind the Souls of the Slain, 1 or 2 CP. Use your stratagem in the fight phase. An Infernal Household model from your army selected to fight until the end of that phase. Each time that model makes a melee attack that destroys an enemy model, roll 1d6. On a 4+, the Infernal Household model regains a lost wound after it has resolved all of its attacks to a maximum of 6 regained wounds. If it's War Dog, it's 1. Others is 2 CP. Hunting Grounds next. So 1 CP for this one. Use your stratagem at the start of your movement phase. Select up to 2 Dread Household War Dog class models from your army. So certainly not neglected War Dog class. There's plenty of stratagems to help them out here. That's more than 6 inches away from an enemy models and within 6 inches of a battlefield edge. So you can remove them and then bring them back on again basically. A long leash. 1 CP, use the stratagem in your command phase, select one Dread Household, Knight Despoiler, Knight Rampager or Knight Desecrator model from your army. Now select one friendly War Dog class model from your army. Until the end of that turn, that War Dog class model is always considered to be in range of your ability that first model you selected has. Dread Dominion, Frenzied Rampage or Taskmaster. Unleash the Hounds. Use this stratagem in your charge phase, 1 CP, after a Dread Household War Dog class model from your army finishes a charge move. At the end of that phase, each time a friendly Dread Household War Dog class model declares a charge, you can reroll the charge roll. Okay, and then Warps or Wrath Surge or Wrath Surge. 1 CP, use the stratagem in your opponent's psychic phase when a psychic test is taken for a psychic unit is failed. Whilst that unit is within 18 inches of a Chaos Knight's Khorne model from your army, the Psycho unit suffers perils of the warp. Harrying Hunter, 2 CP. Use your stratagem in your movement phase and the War Dog class model of your army falls back. That model is still eligible to shoot and charge on the same turn. Fantastic. Imperial Knights get the same one, I believe. And then Reapened Rend. As 1 CP, use the stratagem in the fight phase when a Chaos Knight's model of your army is equipped with a Reaper Chainsword or Reaper Chain Talon or relic that replaces such a weapon is selected to fight. At the end of that phase, each time model makes a melee attack, you can reroll the hit roll, but if that unit is made using the sweep profile or Reaper Chainsword or Reaper Chain Talon or relic that replaces it, you get an additional attack. So they're all quite sensible, nothing too crazy going on with these stratagems here. Diabolic Bulwark. 1 or 2 CP. Use a stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase. A Chaos Knight's model of your army selected the target ranged attack. To the end of that phase, the model has a 4+ invulnerable save against ranged attacks. War Dogs 1 CP. Otherwise, it's 2. Very useful. Very, very useful. Infernal Aegis. 2 CP. Use a stratagem in your opponent's command phase. Select one Tyrant class model from your army. Until the end of that turn, the model has the following ability: Infernal Aegis Aura. While a friendly Dreadhold War Dog class model is within 6 inches of this model, that War Dog class model has a 4+ invulnerable save against ranged attacks. Nice. Macabre Projectiles, 1 CP. Use a stratagem at the end of the fight phase. Select one Chaos Knight's model from your army, equipped with a Warp Strike Claw or relic that replaces it. If a vehicle monster model is destroyed within engagement range of the selected Chaos Knight's model during that phase, you can now select one enemy unit within 9 and visible to that Chaos Knight's model. Roll 1d6. Subtracting 1 from the result if the enemy unit you selected is a character with wounds characteristic of 9 or less. On 3 to 5, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 6, it's a straight 3 mortal wounds. Ravenous Patera Shades, 1 CP, and that's how it's pronounced. Use the stratagem in the morale phase. Select one enemy unit within dread range of a Patera Shades model from your army. The unit must take a dread test. If that test is failed, the enemy unit suffers a mortal wound for each point by which their dread test was failed, to a maximum of 6 mortal wounds. Then Sorcerous Ammunition. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase, 1 CP. Before making the wound roll for an attack made by Chaos Knight's Zinch model from your army, do not make a wound roll for that attack. It automatically wounds a target, and if this wound is allocated to a psychic unit, that unit can take a dread test, must take a dread test. If it's failed, the target suffers perils of the warp after this Chaos Knight's model's attacks have been resolved. Imagine a Thousand Suns Fiend Chaos Knights army. Some colour scheme. Wouldn't be many particularly wanting to paint the scheme though. A lot of work painting vowels and something. Right, next up, we're on to Favour of the Dark Gods here, army rules. So, what I've sort of said before with the codexes is this kind of stuff's okay. You're getting a particular ability for a certain household, that's fine. A unique stratagem, fair enough. A unique world trait, right? It's not really adding too much complexity, it's more diversity. But come to this here, you've now got well, we'll go through it and you'll see, but it's sort of these multiple layers. There's nothing wrong with the rules as such. I've said it before in previous Codex reviews, but it's just this extra stuff being added on, just making more and more rules to remember. Is kind of the problem at the moment with the codexes. Codexes are brilliantly put together. They're very well laid out. They have been very, very good indeed, but there's just too many rules, I think, is the situation. But anyway, if your army is battle forged and includes any Chaos Knights attachments, then when you're mustering your army, you can upgrade any War Dog class or Boran class or Tyrant class models from your army by giving them a Favour of the Dark Gods. So depending on which they're going to go for, like Khorne's Inch and so on. Only one War Dog class model in each unit can be given a Favour of the Dark Gods. Each time you give a model a Favour of the Dark Gods, its power rating is increased or points value goes up, as we'll cover just here. And look at all of these. And then you make a note on your roster, blah blah, just a bit about Crusader Rules. Each Favour of the Dark Gods bestows a particular keyword onto the model, as well as granting them one or more abilities and or characteristics boosts. Each Favour of the Dark Gods also includes a favoured ability as shown on the following pages. A model cannot use its favoured ability, so you pay the points for example, Khorne Bloodshed ability here, which on a War Dog class model is 30 points, and then it gives you all those abilities there, which we'll go over those in just a moment. And you've got a favoured ability here, which is this model can activate as Blood Shield one additional time during the battle. So what you're getting is you're paying your points for ability, getting those, and then you've got to unlock, or you can unlock a favoured ability with like an extra bonus on top of the extra rules as well. And to do that, you then got to keep a tally to keep track of that during the game. I'm sure the rules are fine, but it's just, I think it's too much, as well as all the other stuff. So a model cannot use its favoured ability until after it has provided a worthy offering to its petitioned deity. Keep an offering tally for each model with a Favour of the Dark Gods. Each time this model destroys an enemy model, add a number of marks to its tally equal to the wounds characteristic of the model it destroyed. The tally required is to provide a worthy offering is different from different classes of models as shown. So yeah, so if it's War Dog it's 5 tally points, the Boran class is 10, Tyrant class is 15, so you got to kill more stuff if it's a bigger model. That's the way it works. So we'll go through these, give you an idea on the points cost as well. So for Khorne you got 3 is Bloodshed, which I'm not going to call out all the points here. It's generally going to be so War Dog class for example is 30 points in this instance, Boran class is 45, Tyrant class is 30, and it's that kind of general. It's cheaper for the War Dog, more expensive for the regular Knights. It's just there, so I'm just going to go straight through these. When you get the book you can get an idea of the points cost for those. So Bloodshed, this model gains Khorne keyword once per battle at the start of the fight phase. The bearer can activate the Blood Shield when it does until the end of that phase. Each time melee attack is made by the bearer, invuln saves cannot be made against that attack. That's crazy. Each time melee attack is made against the bearer, invuln save throws cannot be made against that attack. Oh. Okay, so a bit strange. I think you... Yeah, okay. So you destroy their invuln save, but you lose yours at the same time. I believe that's what it's saying. Interesting. And then if this model is a Knight Abominant, it loses the Psychic keyword and cannot manifest psychic powers, but its weapon skill is improved by 1 and attacks +1. Favoured ability, if you can get the kill tally on that, is you can activate the shield an additional time during the battle. Yeah, because it's a once per battle thing. But that could come in particularly useful, especially if you're striking first. You're not going to worry too much if you've lost your invuln, so you're getting to hit the opponent first. So fine, looks strong enough actually. Collar of Infernal Brass. Model gains Khorne keyword. This model has the following ability: Collar of Infernal Brass Aura. One enemy psychic is within 12 inches. Subtract 2 from psychic tests. If it's a Knight Abominant, it loses the psychic keyword. It cannot manifest psychic powers, but its weapon skill is improved by 1. Attack's characteristic is increased by 1. Favoured ability. This model cannot be targeted or affected by psychic powers. Oof, it's pretty potent. God. Throne Mechanicum of Skulls. You gain Khorne, you reroll charge rolls. If it's Knight Abominant, it loses a psychic keyword and cannot manifest psychic powers, but its weapon skills and attacks increased by 1. And then each time this model makes a melee attack and a modified hit roll of 6 pops extra hits. That's the favoured ability for that one. So it's going to require you to keep track of the roll, keep track of your tally to unlock stuff. That's the way it works. I imagine people are going to do it because these are pretty good. Points wise, it's 15, 25 sort of points for these. Pyre the Throne for Tzeentch now, so you become Tzeentch. If this model is not a Knight Abominant, it gains a psychic keyword. It can attempt to manifest 1 psychic power in your psychic phase and attempt to deny 1. It knows Smite and 1 power from Warp Storm Discipline. Wow, psychic type units here. Knight Abominant knows 1 additional psychic power from Warp Discipline. It can attempt to manifest 1 additional psychic power, so 2 for the larger models. And each of your favoured ability, each of your psychic phases, you can reroll 1 psychic test, taken for the model. Cursed Rune of Fate. So you gain Tzeentch. Each time range attack is made against the bearer on a modified saving throw of 6, the attacking model's unit suffers a mortal wound, maximum of 6. And then 4+ invuln save if you can get onto the favoured ability. And then Mirror of Fates, you become Tzeentch. Then while the model's on the battlefield, each time your opponent spends a command point to use a stratagem, you can roll 1d6 and a 5+, you gain that command point. And the favoured ability, once per battle round, after making a hit roll, wound roll, or saving throw for this model can use the Mirror of Fates. If it does so, you can change the result to that roll of a 6. Okay, and then you've got Nurgle. So the Putrid Carapace. So these all gain the Nurgle keyword. And each time an attack is made, attack with a damage characteristic of 1 is allocated to this model. Add 1 to his armor saving throws. And then favoured abilities +1 toughness. Blessing of 1,000 Poxes. Each time this model makes a melee attack, a modified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds. And each time for favoured ability, this model makes a ranged attack, a modified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. Aura of Corruption. Model has the following ability: Corruption of the Body. Aura ability, whilst the enemy is in 6 inches of this model, subtract 1 from their strength. And favoured ability is the model has Corruption of the Soul. Aura, whilst the enemy unit is within 6 inches of this model, subtract 1 from the toughness characteristic of models in that unit. Quicksilver Throne here for Slaanesh. So all 3 of these gain the Slaanesh keyword. The model is eligible for heroic interventions if it were a character, and at the start of the fight phase, if this model is within engagement range, it can fight first. And favoured ability is each time this model makes a piling or consolidation move, it can move up D3 + 3 instead of up to 3 inches. And Beguiling Majesty. These rules like here, they're just so sort of insignificant. But anyway, Beguiling Majesty. Each time the bearer makes an attack against this model, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll and subtract 1 from the attack's wound roll. God, it's pretty significant. Favoured ability, this model gains the following ability: Beguiling Majesty. When an enemy is in 6 inches, subtract 1 from their attacks. And Subjugator Machine Spirit. In your movement phase, each time this model advances or falls back to the end of the shooting phase, it counts as having remained stationary. And favoured ability, this model is eligible to form a charge in the turn in which it advanced or fell back. That's quite good. But it's not reliable though, because you've got to go and get that tally first, unlock it, so you can't rely on it until you've been able to unlock it, so that makes it a bit more tricky. Mark of the Dread Knight. This is a Pantheon Undivided keyword here. Each time this model would lose a wound, it's a 6+ feel no pain. And then favoured ability, that increases to a 5+. The Warp-born Stalker. During deployment, you can set this model up in the warp instead of setting it up on the battlefield. Ouch. If it's a War Dog class model, any other models in its unit are set up as if they were a separate unit. If you do so, then during the reinforcement step of any movement phases, you can set up this unit anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches. So it's like a deep strike. And then the favoured ability is, once we're battle at the start of the movement phase, you can remove this model from the battlefield and then redeploy. When? And then during the reinforcement step of your next turn. So take it off that turn, come back the next deep strike in. And then Blessing of the Dark Master. Each time an attack is made against this model, your opponent can reroll the hit roll. No. Each time an attack is made against this model, your opponent cannot reroll the hit roll, cannot reroll the wound roll, cannot reroll the damage roll. That's, again, it's pretty good. And then each time favoured ability, an attack is made against this model, unmodified hit roll of 1 to 3 always fails, irrespective of any abilities, and so on and so on. Okay, so just some extras there, but I think people are going to take those. There's some pretty good ones in there for sure. Warlord traits next. So I'm looking for warlord traits that are going to make me tougher and more killy in close combat, primarily. So we'll see. And I guess even quicker across the board as well will help if you're trying to close the range quickly. So eager for the kill. Add 1 to advance and charge rolls made for the bearer. And whilst this warlord is on the opponent's deployment zone, add 1 to its attacks characteristics. So that's okay. Harbinger of Scrap Code. In the morale phase, select one enemy vehicle unit of an 18 of the warlord. Must take a dread test. If the test is failed, it takes 3 mortal wounds. To the start of the next morale phase, models in that unit whose characteristics can change as they suffer damage are considered to have half the number of wounds remaining. And I should actually sort of artificially knock them down a bracket. Interesting. Warp Haunted Hull. Once per turn, this warlord can attempt to deny the witch as if it were a psyker. If this unit is a psyker, it can attempt, and then in each enemy psychic phase, it can instead attempt to deny the witch 1 additional time. And if the warlord loses a wound in the psychic phase, it's a 5+, feel no pain. The Knight Diabolus here, add 1 to the attacks characteristic, and each time the warlord makes melee attacks, reroll hit rolls of 1. See, that's quite simple, but that is significantly helpful for knights. Anything that's going to grant an extra attack, rerolling 1s just to help with the reliability, it's nice and solid. Infernal Quest, this warlord has objectives secured. Okay, and then Aura of Terror, it's dreaded while enemy units have been dread range of this warlord. Each time route test or dread test is taken for that unit, your opponent must roll 1 additional d6 and discard the lowest result. Okay, yeah, not bad. And then we'll go on to the Warp Storm Discipline here, the ability for these knights to cast psychic powers. Okay. So you will see, just usually psychic powers help, but some ones that are quite destructive against the enemy would be quite useful. So Winds of the Warp, first of all. It's a blessing ability, aura, whilst Winds of the Warp has a warp charge value of 6 if manifested until your next psychic phase. Every time the psyker loses a wound, it's a 5+, feel no pain. And if the psychic test was 8 or more whilst a friendly dread household war dog class model is in 6, it's 6 is feel no pain. Vortex Terrors, malediction, warp charge value of 5. Manifested, select one enemy unit of an 18 of the psychic to the start of the next psychic phase, subtract 1 from leadership characteristic. And each time this unit or that unit is selected to shoot or fire, it must take a dread test. If it's failed, then until the end of the current phase, reduce the weapon skill and ballistic skill by 1. Yeah, tricky. You've got to try and remember, and the opponent needs to remember, and you need to remind them, and so on and so on. The Storm Malevolent Malediction, warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one enemy unit of an 18 of the psychic until the start of the next psychic phase. Each time a friendly Chaos Knight's model makes a melee attack against that unit, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. And on an unmodified wound roll of a 6, the target suffers a mortal wound in addition. And it's a maximum of, I have capped here, I was going to say, maximum of 3 mortal wounds per phase as a result of the psychic power. Yeah. So, possibly can use for shooting and close combat. So really it could be potential of 6 in a turn. No, it doesn't. Sorry, it says melee attack, so you are restricted just to melee. Cyclonic Lamentation. It's warp charge value of 6. If manifested, it's every enemy unit within 12 inches of the psyker must take a dread test. Each unit that fails this test suffers a mortal wound, If the result was 11 or more, each unit that fails is a D3 mortal wounds. So dread tests are quite significant in this codex, so it's something worth remembering in games and building around to a degree. Coruscating Hate. So which fire will charge value of 6. If manifested, the closest enemy unit within 18, invisible to the Psyker, takes D3 mortal wounds. Then roll a D6. On 2 to 3, the closest other enemy unit within 6, invisible, takes a mortal wound. On the 4+, it's D3 mortal wounds. And then Spite's Qual, will charge value of 6. If manifested, select one enemy unit within 18 of the Psyker. To the start of the next psychic phase, the unit cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend. And keep a Spite's Qual tally for that. It's more tallies here. I'm fond of their tallies in this book. Add 1 to the tally each time model unit is destroyed. At the end of each phase, if the unit is still on the battlefield, roll 1d6 for each mark on its Spite's Qual tally. For each roll of 5+, it's a mortal wound. Okay. Right, relics. Now, with relics, we're looking for some kind of golden nugget deadly killers here. We have seen some in our Codex reviews. Tyranids, for example, some real potent relics for them. So we'll see. Looking for stuff that's quite deadly and perhaps in close combat as well here for the Chaos Knights. But we'll have a look. So, Blasphemous Engine. It's abhorrent class Infernal Household War Dog class model only. Each time the bearer would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound. Whilst its Demonic Surge, Traitorous Ambition, roll 1d6 and 2+ the wound is not lost. And the bearer is considered to have double the number of wounds remaining for the purposes of determining what characteristics on its profile to use. Not bad. Veil of Medrengard. Iconoclasts, abhorrent Iconoclast Household War Dogs. The bearer has a 4+ invulnerable save against ranged attacks and 6+ in close combat as well. And that is significant for knights. That's very helpful. So you're bumping up from 5+ to 4+, and you're getting some kind of blockage or ability to block in close combat against very high AP weapons. So fine, yeah, great. Helm of Warped Sight. It's a Abhorrent class or War Dog class model. You can ignore any or hit roll and ballistic skill modifiers. The target does not receive the benefits of cover against that attack. The Diamonos. It's equipped with a Desecrator laser destructor only. This is the replacement. So range 72, heavy 3, strength 16, AP -5, and D3 +6 damage each time. So 2 successful hits and wounds will destroy Leman Russ. Yeah, nasty. Teeth That Hunger next. So make additional attack with this weapon. So here we go. It's Reaper Chainsword. So it's a replacement for that. Each time the bearer fights, he can make an additional attack with this weapon. That's excellent news. And each time an attack is made with this weapon, this is the profile. So strike, +8 strength, AP -4 and straight 6 damage, or sweep, +2 strength, -3 and 2 damage. And each time the bearer makes attacks with this weapon's profile, it's make 3 hit rolls instead of 1. Okay, and then a Rune of Nactgra, Dreadblade only. When you select this relic, select one Fell Bond that no model from your army has. The bearer gains the Fell Bond in addition to any other Fell Bond it has. The Tyrant's Banner, Abhorrent class model only. Add 3 inches to the range of the bearer's aura abilities to a maximum of 12, and at the start of each of your command phases, if the bearer is on the battlefield, roll 1d6. On a 5+, you gain a command point. The limit of gaining or refunding command point per battle round does not apply to any command points gained via this relic. And Bound Viridian Psychogist, Abhorrent class or War Dog class. Each time the bearer makes an attack on a modified wound roll of 6, improve the armor penetration by 2. And each time the bearer is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 damage roll, resolving that unit model's attacks. There is more. I was wondering if they're going to do 3 pages or 4 pages. Yeah, it's 3 pages. So there's another full page of relics here. So the Traitor's Mark. The bearer has the following ability. Traitor's Mark, Dreaded. Whilst an enemy unit is within dread range of the bearer, your opponent cannot select that unit to use the Insane Bravery stratagem. Nice. Nor can they use any rule that would let them reroll morale tests. Once a battle at the start of any battle round after you have selected a Harbinger ability to be active for your army, you can select one other Harbinger ability from that battle round, regardless of whatever Harbinger ability was selected in the previous battle round. The selected Harbinger ability is active for the bearer for the rest of the battle. This does not affect which Harbinger ability you select in the next battle round. The Gauntlet of Ascension, it sounds good. So the Warp Strike Claw replacement. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, select one of the profiles below. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, you can reroll the hit roll. Nice, very, very good. Each time an enemy character model is destroyed by an attack made with this weapon until the end of the game, add 1 to the strength and damage. Add 1 to the strength and attacks characteristic of the bearer. Nice. So sweep is times 2 strength, so we strength 16, a -3 and 8 damage. 8 damage! And sweep, which is +2 strength. So like strength 10, -2 and 3 damage. If you use the sweep profile, it's 2 hit rolls instead of 1. The Twisted Mask, Psycho model. The bearer knows an additional psychic power and +1 to psychic tests. That's nice. I like the straightforward ones. Fantastic. Panoply of the Cursed Knights. Abhorrent class War Dog. The bearer has a save of 2+. Solar Raptor Swarm. A Patera Shades model only. So each time the bearer would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, unless that wound was inflicted by demonic surge ability, roll 1d6 and 4+, the wound is not lost. And the bearer has the following ability: Soul Raptor, dreaded. Also, enemy units within dread range of the bearer. Each time a model flees from that unit, the bearer regains lost wound. Cool. So a maximum of 3 per phase. And Helm of Dogs. It's War Dog class model only. Add 1 to the attacks of the bearer, and the bearer has the following ability: Helm of Dogs, Aura. Also for any War Dogs class models in 6 inches. Each time you attack, then you can reroll hit rolls of 1. Now I'm just looking to see when you get that. It just says making an attack, so you might get in shooting mode. So you're on chapter approved. Next, choice of secondaries for regular games of 40k. So a fitting challenge. If you select this objective, then before the battle, after you've selected deployment zones, you must identify which 3 units from your opponent's army have the highest points value and make a note of them. If 2 or more type, blah blah blah. If your opponent army has 3 or fewer units, you can instead identify all the units from your opponent's army. Units points cost includes the points of all weapons war kits equipped with. So you're picking the 3 most expensive units. If your unit splits into several smaller units during the battle, all those separate units must be destroyed. That's fair enough. And at the end of each battle round, you score a number of victory points for each identified unit that was destroyed during the battle by a Chaos Knights unit from your army, to a maximum of 6 victory points per model. The number of victory points scored depends on the battle round during which each unit was destroyed, as shown in the table below. So, you kill something on turn 1, 6 points. Turn 2 is 5 points. Turn 3 is 4 points. Turn 4 is 3 points. And turn 5 is 2 points. At the end of the battle, reduce the number of victory points you've earned from the secondary objective by 1 for each of the identified units that has not been destroyed. So a little bit of pressure to fulfill the mission. If the unit was destroyed, but was then resurrected or otherwise returned, and subsequently destroyed again, if the purpose of the secondary objective was destroyed in the battle round in which it was last removed from the battlefield. So you could die on turn 1, be resurrected, and then die on turn 5 and just get 2 points for it instead of 6. That's the way that works. No mercy, no respite next. Path of destruction. Score 1 victory point at the end of the battle round for each of the following conditions that were satisfied during the round. So for a maximum of 3 victory points. But in 5 turns in the game, so maximum 15, yeah. So you can do this each turn. So 1 or more enemy units were destroyed by a Chaos Knights model from your army, whilst that Chaos Knights model was wholly within your deployment zone, so shooting from range. Okay. 1 or more enemy units was destroyed, or the enemies in your deployment zone, you're fighting them either way. 1 or more enemy units was destroyed by Chaos Knights model from your army, whilst that Chaos Knights model was more than 3 inches away from either player's deployment zone, just killing them in different areas. Or 1 or more enemy units was destroyed by Chaos Knights model from your army, whilst that Chaos Knights model was wholly within your opponent's deployment zone. So killing stuff in either part of the battlefield, fine. It's 1 per kill though, so yeah, you do alright, I guess. Whether you'd max on that, don't know. It's alright though, you're bound to get some points. Battlefield Supremacy, Ruthless Tyranny. If you select this objective at the end of your turn, you score victory points as follows, maximum of 4. Score 2 victory points if you control half or more of the total number of objective markers on the battlefield, and 1 or more Chaos Knights models from your army are in range of each of those objective markers. Score 1 victory point if half or more of the total number of objective markers on the battlefield are within dread range, or 1 or more Chaos Knights models from your army. And you score a victory point if each objective marker on the battlefield is within dread range of 1 or more Chaos Knights models from your army. It's just complicated. It's understandable, but it's just like, just don't like that. I don't know. Storm of Darkness, because I don't know. 40k, you don't. I enjoy painting models, putting models on a battlefield, having fun playing a game. So stuff that eats away at fun is an issue. So rules help create the fun. 100%, totally agree with that. Too many rules, starting to forget stuff, or too complicated. You know, what is that rule again? Well, just explain that one. Your opponent says, "Oh, what does that mean?" You have to go through it, you have to read it over multiple times, try and remember it. You get to the end of the game, you realise, "Oh, I forgot that, didn't get it right, and messed up all the points." That's not fun. So that's sort of what the point I'm making is. Too many rules, too much to remember, too much to forget, and then it can mess the game up or annoy you during the game, which is a shame. Storm of Darkness. It's one of the best games I said it in the previous Codex. Some of the best games of 40k I played was when James and I were playing. It might have been 7th edition maybe, where we just knew rules off by heart. We were playing back-to-back games, hardly looking at a Codex, and they were just fast-moving, fun games. And all the emphasis was away from the books and over onto the table, where you just knew your rules and you're just rolling your dice, moving your models, enjoying the game, and hardly referenced in the book. Those are the best games of 40k, but that is very, very difficult, nigh on impossible now with the depth of stuff. Less is more, as so often is the case in life. Storm of Darkness. If you select this objective, then Chaos Knight units from your army can attempt the following action. So it's an action. 1 Chaos Knights unit from your army can start to perform this action at the end of the morale phase. If it's within range of an objective marker that has not already been cursed by your army, a unit cannot start this action whilst there are enemy units, excluding aircraft, in range of the same objective marker. So you've got to clear it. The action is completed at the end of the next psychic phase, provided the unit performing it is still within range. You've got to start the action, survive through to the next psychic phase. If completed, that objective marker is said to have been cursed by your army until the end of the battle, whilst that non-chaos unit is within 6 inches of the objective marker. Subtract 1 of the leadership characteristic of models in that unit. Score 3 victory points each time you do it. Tricky enough, but maybe possible. You've got so few models in your army for Chaos Knights, you can't really afford to have them much distracted, either by having to get somewhere or perform actions and so on. So there's Crusade rules, which that's a lovely painted model, that one. But I won't cover Crusade, so we'll fast forward. I've heard good reports about it for those that play it. That's a lovely army there, beautiful. And then we're on to the data sheets here. My particular interest, you're usually going to have the standard profile of a knight, but my particular interest is going to be for the unique shooting and close combat weapons that the Chaos Knights have. So on to data sheets then, as we are looking at keywords for Dread Households, Quest to Traitorous. We'll go here through to abilities. So Iron Shield is your 5+7 vulnerable save. Super Heavy Walker should be the usual rules. So you're eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which you fell back. You can make a normal move, advance or fall back. You can move across other models, excluding monsters and vehicles. So same as Imperial Knights. And then War Dog Squadrons. The first time this unit's set up on the battlefield, if it contains more than one model, you have to be set up within 6 inches, and then after that you can operate independently, so the same rules there as well. So Dread Tests. Some rules in this book will require a unit to take a Dread Test. Each time a rule requires a unit to do so, that unit's controlling player rolls 2d6. If the result of the roll is greater than the highest leadership characteristic in that unit, the test is failed, otherwise the test is passed. And then with Dread abilities here as well, dreaded abilities. which is 12 inches at the start of the battle, and dreaded abilities are unaffected by rules that affect all abilities and vice versa. Okay, so Harbingers of Dread here. So again, sort of another layer of complexity to add on, but we'll run through this to see what this extra stuff is. So if every unit from your army has the Chaos Knights keyword, excluding those of Unlined and Agents of Chaos, then this unit gains a bonus. See opposite, depending on which Harbinger abilities are active for your army. At the start of each battle round, you must select one Harbinger ability, either Despair, Doom or Darkness, from the corresponding choices for the battle round in the table shown opposite. Note that we're making a selection. During the first and fifth battle rounds, you must select the Doom. You can only select the Despair ability if you selected the Despair or Doom ability in the previous battle round, and you can only select the Darkness ability if you selected the Darkness or Doom ability in the previous battle round. So pick and choose depending on what you want to do. Once you've selected the Harbinger ability, it becomes active for the remainder of the battle, and it applies to all units from your army with this ability. So I guess it's like protocols for Necrons, you know, each turn there's a different ability going on. This looks a little bit more complex, but that's the way they've done it. So that's the fluff part. So battle round 1, you have to start with Doom. So do that first because it's the only one you can take. While enemy units are within dread range of this model, subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic for them. And each time a combat attrition test is taken, subtract 1 from that test as well. And then we'll run down Despair next. So Creeping Dismay. While enemy units are within dread range of this model, if the unit has any aura abilities, subtract 3 from the range of those abilities. Yeah, but it's almost like, why do you need this extra stuff? If that enemy unit has any abilities that are used in the command phase, subtract 3 from the range of those abilities. Okay, and then Empiric Fugu. I don't know how to pronounce that. F-U-G-U-E. While an enemy unit is within dread range of this model, each time the enemy unit wishes to start performing an action, it must first pass a dread test. If the test is failed, it cannot perform that action. At the start of the morale phase, if the enemy unit is currently performing an action, it must take a dread test. If that test is failed, the action is currently performing immediately fails. And then turn 4 is Paralysing Insanity. While an enemy unit is within dread range of this model, if that unit has the objective secured, it loses that ability. And then carrying on with Doom, so turn battle round 2 is add 3 inches to the model's dread range for Encroaching Doom. Mortal Terror. While an enemy unit is within dread range of this model, each time the unit fails a morale test, 1 additional model flees. Attrition tests are taken if the result of the morale test is at least twice that of the highest leadership characteristic, then D3 additional models flee instead. Wailing Geasts, while an enemy unit is within dread range of this model, subtract 2 from leadership characteristic. It's all quite sort of leadership-y type stuff. Horror of the Warp, while enemy units are within dread range, this is battle round 5. It says battle round 5 plus here. As each time a combat attrition test is taken, that unit subtract 1 for combat attrition tests. On modified roll of 1 and 2, models flee instead of 1. And then Darkness, turn 2 is East Storm. On enemy units within dread range of this model, each time the unit is selected to shoot, each time it wishes to declare a charge, must first take a dread test. If the test is passed, it can select targets for shooting attacks or charging. Otherwise, models in that unit cannot make ranged attacks unless they target the closest eligible unit or the closest eligible Chaos Knights unit. If that unit declared charge against the Chaos Knights unit, any charge rolls are halved. And then Pool of Darkness, each time a ranged attack is made against this model, if the attack is 12 inches away, it's -1 to the hit roll. And finally, Veil of Shadows, each time a melee attack is made against this model, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. So I think it's another blanket of extra rules that's just not needed here, and that sort of applies to all the other codexes as well. The problem is that a Chaos Knights player is not going to think like that. They're going to think, well, I'm not going to just ignore these rules. They're going to try and use as many rules as possible to help them out in games, but that's something else to remember. So what I'm going to do for these is you're going to be seeing standard stat lines here. So I don't think I need to run through all the stat lines points are going to be pretty comparative to... Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll just call these out. So you've got the War Dog Executioner. So stat line really, it's not much. It's going to change. 12 wounds, 3 up save, 4 attacks as base for these things. You're looking at 155 points for the Executioner, 5 points if you take the Demon Breath Melter Gun. Just the usual rules for that. Diabolus Heavy Stubber, strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage, heavy 4. And the autocannon is the same, I think, as the Imperial Knights one. It's heavy 2d3. And you're equipped with 2 of these, so it'll be like 43 shots, strength 7, minus 2 and 3 damage. That's about it. The War Dog Stalker. So it can take... It's 145 points for that one. And you can take the Havoc Multi-Launcher. So that is range 48, heavy d6, strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage, blast weapon, and you can fire its targets that the bearer can't see. And the Slaughter Claw, so there's no 2 profiles in this one, you have to run with times 2 strength, strength 12, minus 3 and d3 plus 3 damage on that one. And then the Avenger Chain Cannon, range 36, assault 12, strength 6, minus 2 and 1 damage. Oh, there's different patterns here for the War Dogs. Interesting. Nothing else going on with that one. Then you've got the War Dog Carnivore. That's 140 points and 5 points to the Havoc Launcher. This could be more the combat orientated one. Yeah, now this one, interestingly, runs quicker. I think these will be quite popular. So you've got 14-inch move with these. Its minimum move is 10. On 1 to 3 wounds remaining. Its weapon skill, this is even better, its weapon skill is 2+. Wow, fantastic. And 5 attacks base instead of 4. So it's cheaper, but you're getting some nice close combat bonuses for these. Very, very nice indeed. And then you've seen the Havoc Multi-Launcher. So Reaper Chain Talon, you can strike with it at +4 strength, so strength 10, minus 4 and 3 damage. Or you can sweep, so you get 2 hit rolls instead of 1, so that's 10 attacks coming through. Strength for the user, AP minus 3, but it is only 1 damage. Or again, you can take a Slaughter Claw, as we've seen already. But I think you're taking both. Yeah, so fine, great, be popular enough, cheap enough. Or you got the War Dog Brigand here. I'm liking the configurations here. There's more to come. There's another one after this, the Huntsman. Okay, so the Brigand is 155 points, and again 5 points for the Havoc Multi-Launcher. Dropping back down to 4 attacks, back down to 12-inch move. The Avenger Chain Cannon we've seen already, but then it's got the Demon Breath Spear. That's range 30, heavy 2, strength 9, minus 4, d6 damage, or d6 plus 2 if you get within half range, so 15 inches for that. That's it. And then the Huntsman. Well. 145 points, a bit cheaper for this one. And you can take a Demon Breath Melter Gun on this one. Same stat line as before. The Demon Breath Spear, the Demon Breath Melter Gun, and then you can go a bit close combat on that one by taking the Chain Talon, as we've seen. Okay, so nice. 5 options to choose from. Very cool. Yeah, that's really, really good. And that Huntsman is you're basically using Imperial Knights model for that one. Yep. An Imperial Knights model for the Executioner. Yeah, great. Yeah, very good. Right, so you got a Knight Despoiler, which is 375 points for that thing. And then points, you're looking at the Demon Breath Melter Gun, 5 points, Demon Breath Thermal Cannon, 50, Despoiler Battle Cannon, 50, Despoiler Gatling Cannon, 60, Havoc Missile Pod, 20, the Rune Spear Rocket Pod, 40, and the Hellstorm Autocannon, 20 points. 10-inch move for these, they've dropped Imperial Knights the same, I think they dropped 2 inches on their move as well. 4 attacks base. Melter Gun we've seen, the Chainsword, you can, 2 options, you could strike with it at +6 strength. So it's strength 14, AP minus 4 and 6 damage, or you can sweep with 3 hit rolls instead of 1. Strength of the user, strength 8, minus 3 and 2 damage. Do have Titanic Feet. The Warp Strike Claw is, which looks very cool, the sculpt of it. And you can strike at strength times 2, strength 16, minus 3 and 8 damage, or sweep 2 hit rolls instead of 1, plus 2, minus 2 AP and 3 damage. Yeah. Now, Dread Dominion Aura. Whilst a friendly Dread Household Wardog class model is within 9 inches of this model, they can perform heroic interventions. They come to the aid of this thing. Fantastic. Great roll. And then Engine of Destruction each time this model fights. If it's equipped with both a Warp Strike Claw and a Reaper Chainsword, so this is a combo here, including any relic that replaces such a weapon. And if it made a charge move, was charged or performed heroic intervention, then, until the fight's resolved, add 1 to the attack's characteristics, get an extra attack. Okay. Next is the Knight Desecrator. So that's just a straight 400 points. Wow. It's actually, just have a little look here. This thing starts on weapon skill 2+. Okay. They don't have slow down though. In your lowest damage bracket, your movement is 6 inches. They slow up. 8 minimum would have been good, but 6 is painfully slow. And they start taking damage. The Desecrator Laser Destructor, range 72, heavy 2, strength 14, minus 5, D3 plus 6 damage, deadly weapon. Only 2 dice rolls though, but deadly enough. Heavy Stubber, Reaper Chainsword, we've seen all these. Titanic Feet. So it's got Taskmaster Aura. Whilst a friendly Dread Household Wardog class model is within 9 inches. Each time the enemy model makes a ranged attack reroll, hit rolls of 1. Nice, grants reroll 1, fine, no problem at all. Next is the Knight Rampager. Again, straight 400 points. Quite cheap. Same profile, 5 attacks base though with this one. And you can take the Reaper Chainsword or the Warp Strike Claw. This has Frenzied Rampage. So whilst the friendly Dread Household Wardog class model is within 9 inches of this model, and each time that friendly model makes a melee attack, reroll hit rolls of 1. Helpful enough. Weapon skill 2+ as well, crucially on this one. Makes such a difference, moving from 3+ to hit to 2+. And if you can get any kind of reroll ones, it's ultra reliable coming through. It's what you need. 5 attacks base as well. Nice option on the Rampager. Very good. Knight Abominant next. This is a new sculpt with the Talon Tusks. 430 points. Oh no! Only 3 attacks on this one. Hitting on 3s. So it's got the Heavy Stubber, the Volkite Combuster, the Bale Mace, and the Electro Scourge and Titanic Feet. So the Volkite Combuster then, range 30, heavy 6, strength 10, minus 1, 3 damage. Each time attack is made with this weapon, unmodified wound roll of 6 inflicts 3 mortal wounds in addition. The Bale Mace, strength for the user, AP minus 2 and 2 damage, and you get D3 extra attacks for that weapon. And the Electro Scourge is strength for the user, minus 2, 3 damage, and you get 3 hit rolls instead of 1 with that one. And Titanic Feet. No extras. You can attempt to manifest 2 psychic powers and deny 1 psychic power in your opponent's psychic phase. No smite and 2 other powers. And then the Knight Tyrant. 28 wounds, 4 attacks base, 2 up armor save. Weapon skill 4+, ballistic skill 3+. It's 585 points. 15 points though to take the Twin Desecrator Cannon, and then the Brimstone Volcano Lance is an extra 10. And those weapons are the Brimstone Volcano Lance is range 80, heavy D3. Oh boy, bit unreliable there. 1 or 3 shots that thing. It is a blast weapon though, strength 16, minus 5 and D6 plus 8 damage. Then the Ectoplasma Decimator. You can go for standard, which is range 48, heavy 2d6, it's a blast weapon, strength 8, minus 4 and 2 damage. Or you could supercharge it and you'll take 2 mortal wounds if you're only 1s. And it's range 48, heavy 2d6, blast, strength 9, minus 4 and 3 damage. The Geist Strike Missile, it's heavy 1, strength 10, minus 4 d6 damage. Ignoring invuln, it's like the Shield Breaker, ignoring invuln's one use only. Melter Gun, Twins, it's Assault 2, and the Desecrator Cannon Twin Desecrator Cannon is heavy 2d3, range 36, strength 7, -1, 2 damage, blast. And that's it. And that's them. I love the War Dog configurations. 5 options to choose from. Very, very cool. I do like the Carnivore, just for the aggressiveness of it and the rewards there for going for close combat. Okay, let's cover the points. So I think that's pretty much the review here for Chaos Knights. So, you're looking solid enough. I think by the time you stack up all those extras with them, they look decent enough on the board. Whether enough has been done to help them out for 9th edition style games, which is whichever way, normal missions or Tempest of War, it's having resources to go and do stuff, to turn up somewhere, to claim objectives, to go after a particular point on the table, particular enemy unit. Can you field enough models to do that? With Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights is the question. We'll see as time goes on as to how well they perform. We hope to test out Imperial Knights on the channel with some battle reports to see how well they get on in games. But 9th edition is a challenge for them. But hopefully these codexes will certainly make both Imperial and Chaos Knights more potent on the battlefield for sure. But leave your own comments and feedback, especially if you play Chaos Knights or Imperial Knights. I'd love to hear feedback in the comment section as to how much of an improvement or not. The usual thing going on, lots of extra rules just layering up here for these codexes, just the way they are at the moment. So there is that level of complexity to bear in mind. But codex looking solid enough. Keep a lookout for more reviews on the channel. Thanks for watching and tune in next time.